magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast. What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? Transformers Slag Podcast, our live stream main event. I'm your host, Proto Man. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you would have heard Monday to Friday. But it was a busy TFCon weekend, and the recovery period coming afterwards from easily the biggest Transformer show of the year was quite crazy. So much so that even some of the big voice actor guests, they couldn't even make it to the show because of plane delays and all the craziness of travel. We'll get into that and then some. But it's good to be back. Going to start getting back to our normal schedule of podcast segments starting Monday. And just letting the voice recover. It was a very busy show, but we'll talk more about that later today. Saw some friendly faces, some of the podcast patrons and the YouTube members and fans of the podcast. It was absolutely fantastic. But who do we have in the chat today? Let's take a look. We got Trevor, what's up, former patron. We got Patrick Brown. We got Rudy Mack. We got Autovolt, one of my patrons. We got the TFCon twins. I got your t-shirts for TFCon coming up. Don't worry. Let's see. Who do we got? Will Murphy. Sorry, I'm looking at the second screen here. We got James. What's up, my man? Flatline Girl, I saw at TFCon this past weekend. Nice seeing you. Who else? Princeton Phalanx, one of my patrons. T-Formers 2002. I saw at TFCon all weekend. And then some. Fellow booth buddy. Ylag Y, what's up? Vonhard, how you doing? Want to make sure I don't miss nobody. Roman, what's up? Just gonna keep scrolling. Want to make sure I don't miss. I'm gonna give more shout outs anyways. Rudy Mack, nice to see you, man. Because we got gifts, we got a whole bunch of stuff, we got cool stuff, everything, and then some. What's up, Dylan? Oscar. So we're going to cover the news, little things here and there. Not much happened this week. I mean, it's almost like Hasbro knows, like, okay, we're going to be coming off of TFCon. We'll keep it light, and then we'll get back into business the following week. And we got some cool stuff, too. Got some cool stuff to talk about. But let's jump into it. As always, super chat, your opinions, and then some. The mouse is a little dusty. I've been gone so long. So then let's start with, we're going to go with the YOLO Park. YOLO Park was actually at TFCon. They had a nice, meaty 3-table booth showing off their latest stuff, and they had some prototypes on display. We got our first look of Black Arachnia and Megatron that's going to be part of their AMK regular series, because you have AMK and the AMK Pro. AMK Pro has like the LED lights and all of that kind of stuff. This is the regular AMK series, usually $29.99 per unit. Of course, we've already seen like all the different photography and in-hand images of their Optimus Primal and their Dinobot. Those look fantastic. Again, reminder, these are non-transformable articulated Transformer figures from the Beast Wars era, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the greatest Transformer series of all time, in my humble opinion. But we got to see Black Arachnia, and we got to see Megatron. Black Arachnia considerably smaller than Megatron, because they also showed, if you look carefully, the Megatron on the top right, he's actually standing in front of a prototype Dinobot. Megatron and Dinobot are pretty, around the same size, where Optimus is clearly shorter than Dinobot, and Black Arachnia being the shortest of the bunch. Assuming Black Arachnia is still going to fall into that $29.99 category, I'm going to assume that they're probably going to include a lot of extra accessories with her. I mean, Dinobot already comes with a bunch, and so does Optimus. But I can imagine like Black Arachnia coming with, like, I don't know, piece of a golden disc or something, like just to fill it out a little bit, because she was significantly tinier compared to the rest, unless she's a completely different price point. But they haven't really done that too much with the AMK stuff. They all kind of stay within a price together. But we'll see. Again, those were at TFCon, so very, very cool to see those in person and kind of manipulate them a little bit. Very high quality. I have some of their stuff. I got the BotCon exclusive. I got their Transformer 1 ones, just because that's kind of the best versions of some of those characters. So, but it was looking great. And thank you, Yolo Park, for showing up and giving the show a little bit of official flavor in a sea of third party in a lot of ways, at least the non-licensed kind. So very cool. Check them out. No release date just yet. Just showing off the early beast stuff that's going to be popping off. I might imagine if we already have these stock images of Optimus and Dinobot, I imagine it's not too long after we'll probably have these shipping out and everything. Pre-orders are up on the different outlets and of course their website themselves. So we shall see. We shall see. Speaking of also pre-orders going up, we now have the pre-order for the Transformers Age of the Primes combiner set, box set, Decepticon Monstructor. So this guy's going to be $89.99. And what's interesting about this one with the $89.99, just to talk about that for a moment, is when you think about it this way, and this is something I talked about when it came to the core class, a big reason, I'll just pull this down for a big reason why the core class was discontinued. Nice to meet you too in person, Sabertron. I didn't know that was you. That was in person. I always tell people when you meet me in person, please tell me your screen name because I usually recall most of the names I see. So nice to see you too, man. That's really cool to meet you. Uh, and thank you for the super chat. Hope you had a good time this weekend. So, but again, going back to this, like with the core class, like I've said before that a big reason why the core class got discontinued was that Hasbro just couldn't justify going to retailers and telling them like, okay, this is what, like, let me just grab, I always keep them close by because I love my boy Shockwave. Like this was becoming $12.99, for this. So for them to be able to have to go to Walmart with the new 30% price increase that all the other price point had, and think about 30% on $29.99, what would have been $15.99, $16.99? So they obviously had to phase out core class because there's no way they would have been able to pull that off and convince retailers to ask that for that kind of product. So when we look at this here, you know, if you factor in the old MSRP, $12.99, let's say, $13 times 6. Let's not factor in the extra accessories that were included with this that the original Dinobots didn't have and stuff. You end up less than $89.99. I think this $89.99 is almost kind of a preview of what would have been if we would have had the new price point for core class. A couple bucks up, spread it across the 6. That's just my deeper financial breakdown of that. But at the end of the day, you're breaking even on what would have been, let's say, a 2026 core class price point spread across 6 figures, maybe less. Maybe you're getting a slight deal here. But at the end of the day, I still think it's a great box set. I think it's really cool. I mean, I wish I could show you guys proper that you could barely see them there. You can only see like one of the members because the box here covers it. But I mean, the original set was a fragile mess, but still very, very cool. And the fact that they made the effort to retool the hell out of all these guys and give them that slight pretender shell, slight inner robot alt mode kind of flavor to it. The extra accessories that came with Dino King, the new head sculpt. Everything going on here looks great. Everything on here looks fantastic. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I got it. I pre-ordered this son of a bitch because this thing looks great. This thing looks amazing. So let me know what you think. Again, the ship out date supposedly is going to be sometime later in 2026. We will see when, but usually when we're up to this point where we have the boxes, we have the pre-orders and everything, it's all out there. Available on Hasbro Pulse right now. I believe it's not sold out yet, so opportunities are still there. Decepticon for life. How you doing? How are you doing, Damon? So yeah, check that out. Then we got the Walmart Collector Con. And now that I look at this, you could clearly see that there is a theme going on. All the vitriol was going towards the little star eagle, but the reality is it's a double USA, USA, and this is coming from a Canadian. It's a double USA here with the breakaway also with these two. Breakaway and Star Eagle, both in that deluxe price point. So you're going to have $27.99, the new MSRP for deluxes going into 2026. And these are both going to be shipping out spring 2026, so very, very soon. Again, I'm just looking at that breakaway soccer ball and going, when am I getting my deluxe class Primus? Or alternative, you know what? Maybe they'll go deep cut and they'll be like, hey, remember Dead End, that little mini con that came with Unicron? Do an all black and yellow repaint of this, and because he's so tiny being a deluxe, he'll kind of scale kind of well with your crazy HasLab Unicron. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but either way, WUSA, Walmart Collector Con exclusives, they are currently still available for pre-order on Walmart's website, but both of these also will be available in person at Walmart as a exclusive item. And yeah, it is what it is, but it's one of the collaboration items going into 2026 because now that knocks kickoff from the code names of the collaborations for 2026 with Breakaway. We still got Race, Green, Song, that's the San Diego Comic Con exclusive. We got Cemetery, and we got the Monster Jam 1. So we'll see what's popping with all of those too. But yeah. Joey's, do you think the Monstructor might go on sale? Hard to say. Um, Usually when stuff goes on sale, it's because it has a strong retail environment. So it's something where if Monstructor was like at every Walmart and Target, I would say yes. But because that's not the case, I can't guarantee something like that. What's up, Larry? It's something where, you know, a lot of times sales happen because of two very strong factors: overabundance of inventory and overabundance of inventory that's taking space that could be something else. That's why you'll sometimes have a Titan class that goes on clearance because it's taking a lot of space, but there's also an overabundance of inventory. Another example is the retro carded mini bots, like that we just had recently. The Sea Spray and the Brawn, those went on crazy clearance at all the Walmarts because they had too many of them. And they don't take a lot of space, but when you have 12 Brawns and like 9 Sea Sprays taking up, 4 pegs of deluxes that could be something else on a SKU for a Walmart layout, they're gonna liquidate that stuff. Was it $11 or something? Down from 27.99. I mean, that's a clearance item. So it's hard to say with stuff like this. It's kind of like, to give an example, like did the GoBots, the GoBot 3-pack, did that go on sale? Are we waiting for the G2 Dinobots, the second set of them, to go on sale? It's, stuff like that. That's kind of the more relatable items to that, but they have a lot less of a I guess we could call it a population report. They might show up in a GameStop or something, or the odd Target, collector section, but it's a lot less, unfortunately. So, hey, there might be a sale for all we know. It doesn't do well at all, the Monstructor, and then they end up clearancing it. Who knows? And it'll be on Hasbro Pulse, and it'll be like 50% off. Very possible. Crazier things have happened. So I could totally see that. Totally see that. But yeah, so that's it essentially for the collaborations. We're going to learn more of these over the next couple weeks going into the road of San Diego Comic-Con according to the Proto Man schedule. I have to double check that. I think TFCon Toronto is next and then it's San Diego. I believe that is correct. I have to talk to my secretary, aka my wife, because I'm not too sure what the schedule is on that. There's so much happening between April, May, June, July. It's going to be kind of nutty, but I think that'll be it. But yeah, check that out. Stay tuned. We'll have more on it because for sure there's going to be a few reveals before July rolls around with the San Diego one. Then we got Blockies, new Blockies items. A lot of Blockies at TFCon weekend. Almost every dealer had some kind of Blockies action going on. This is the champion class. We got the Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime Blockies. I don't know about this one. Again, the original toy was awesome. That leader class, the studio series is awesome. This is one where it's like, hey, unless you really like Dark of the Moon or the Bayverse, or you really like these characters, or you just really like building a model kit that doesn't transform, this one kind of already, has been done in a lot of different ways. The Blitzwing, kind of the same thing. We got a pretty stellar Studio Series 1 that's out there that isn't too expensive to my knowledge. So it is something that from a champion price point, which is a little more expensive, usually falls into that $29.99 to $39.99 price point, depending on the size and the scale of the character. Both of these are here, and if you're interested in them. But the big thing to take away from this is because, especially with the Blitzwing, is we're going to be getting a lot of reveals of blockies because there's going to be, let me just pull this one up, the Blocky Global Partners Conference that's going to be happening March 26th. So Blockies is going to be holding a huge conference. They're going to be showing off all their different licenses that are going to be happening in 2026 going into 2027. That's going to be Mega Man. That's going to be a lot of different stuff, and including Transformers. So we have a teaser here of some of their upcoming stuff that's going to be revealed on March 26th, which is not very far away from today, from their global debuts of the global premiere conference. So we have here the champion class of movie Bumblebee, or the Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, and the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime getting champion classes. These are teased here. But that's not all, because there's also going to be some other stuff. So we also get our early teasers of what's going to be present in the latest wave of Defender versions. So Defender version Wave 7 and Galaxy version Wave 10. So of course, just for context, and I have it right here on the table. So of course, your Defenders are your little SD ones, and your Galaxy versions are your much more larger 4 inches to 4.5 inch figures between the two, using Hot Rod there as your frame of reference. So, of course, more Beast Wars love going on. Again, it's the 30th anniversary of Beast Wars, and in this case, we're going to be getting Lio Convoy and Galvatron 2, both from Beast Wars 2, of course. And that's really cool. I wonder how many other Beast Wars characters will be present on that one. We get Tasmanian Kid. That'd be really cool. Or Spitor, a.k.a. Diver, or Scuba, Lio Convoy Jr., Magnaboss. I mean, oh my God, imagine they do a Magnaboss combiner set. Oh, that'd be good. Oh, that'd be really good. That'd be really cool. And then Galaxy version, this is subtitled Till All Are One. It's going to be a clear hot rod that in blue that's going to represent when he was holding the Matrix, kind of a throwback to an old classics figure that also kind of did the same thing. Oh, it's translucent blue hot rod. It's when he's holding the Matrix. So good stuff. So those are also going to be happening again. We're going to see all of these and more March 26th at their global debut of the global premiere of their conference for blockies. So not just Transformers. If you like blockies and there's other stuff that you enjoy, their DC stuff, their Toku stuff, whether it be Ultraman or Kamen Rider, their Mega Man stuff that they're still belting out. There's so much more, and their Muppets. I mean, I could go on and on. All of that and more will be available to learn March 26th on Blockies, Instagram, and of course their Twitter account. Check that out, yo. And that's it, more or less, for news. I mean, in my opinion, it was a bit of a quiet week. You had a lot of the third-party reveals at TFCon. The Micron third-party Unicron and stuff, which was cool because it had Blacklight and stuff. But I'm not a big third-party guy unless it's like really unique. So there was that, and then this and that, pretty much otherwise. But we have other stuff we could talk about because we got a lot of cool stuff that we picked up. Some other things here and there. And of course stuff with Symbiote Studios. So, rocking the Slag pin. Where is he? He's right there. Rocking my Slag pin that I was rocking all weekend along with my Proto Man pin. So let's talk about Symbiote, because here is the new lineup of Symbiote Studios stuff. So we have some of their new additions that are on their web store right now. I'm rocking, of course, their Me Grimlock Munch Metal, still available on the web store. Once again, as I said, a lot of stuff sold out at TFCon. The first thing that sold out, and I was quite surprised, I saw so many people wearing it that weekend, was, let me grab them right here, Laserbeak. I was seeing people wearing it on their shoulder. Some people were putting it under their hat. This guy, within, no joke, the first day and a half, like early Saturday, they were all gone. Every single one of them, 300 units, poof. So yeah, going to definitely see a lot more of those in the shoulder sitters in the future. Stay tuned. But they also had the Catnip Bravo Starscream collab. Of course, the Swoop debuted, would also sold a butt ton of units. Again, all available on the website right now. The Catnip Bravo Starscream does have a removable costume, so you get a regular Catnip Bravo under it if you want, and then you have a Starscream costume you could put on top of that with the little tail and everything, and of course Swoop now completing your collection. So yeah, and again, the Laserbeak, it's been restocked as of this Monday. Absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. You know, I was so surprised how how so many people I saw this weekend wearing symbiote T-shirts, had symbiote laser beaks on their shoulders or under their hat. And when I mean under their hat, I know I'm confusing some people here. They would put the magnet in their hat and then they put the laser beak resting on top of their hat. So it's like laser beak was resting on top of their head. It's a very strong magnet. I want to remind you guys. So it works very well for that kind of stuff. So definitely stay tuned. There's definitely going to be more of these and of different characters and stuff. And of course, there will be restock for Laserbeak. So again, check it out, symbiotestudios.com. They got it all and then some. This is the current inventory right now. Also, the Autobot pillow sold out. I was surprised of that too. So many of those sold out. We only had one left. It was the floor model. And unfortunately, we couldn't sell the floor model because it kind of had like a bit of a stain on it or something because someone dropped it and stepped on it. But either way, so the Autobot pillows sold out. Now they're back in stock on the store today. But great stuff. Again, no surprise. It's what I keep telling people. Go to them first because you're gonna complain later. And it was always, do you got Laserbeak? Do you got Laserbeak? Do you got Swoop? You know, that's what happened. Next up, San Diego Comic-Con with a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Stay tuned for that. We'll have more info on that one in the near future. You know, T-Formers 2000. So yeah, saw plenty of Condors around the con. Would definitely buy a Buzzsaw. Yeah, again, I knew that it was popular because it was very popular at San Diego. I didn't realize just how quickly at TFCon it would just melt away. Like Saturday morning, there was all 300 units were gone. So it's just like, okay, that is that. Time to restock. But good stuff. Good stuff. And of course, check out all their other stuff. Their My Little Pony collection. They're going to also have some new pony stuff on display. You know, all of that. And of course, their Magic the Gathering stuff. Some Magic the Gathering pins were sold that weekend. It was quite because they also had pins on sale. And they had all the mana symbols. And there was quite a few people buying Magic the Gathering pins. So that was pretty cool too. If anyone noticed, I was manning the booth for like the last hour of Saturday because they had to run and do something. So I covered for them. But yeah, either way. And of course, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. We have a new segment coming very, very soon. We have a new format of how we're going to be doing our long form segments going forward. So stay tuned for that. Once again, if you enjoy listening to my voice, go check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. It's a separate channel here on the U of the Tubes. Go subscribe to that. Go check out all the other stuff we've done. Great interviews, Beyblade, Transformers, Batman, Star Wars. The sky's the limit. We talk about all the brands. Hey, if you want to get into toy design and you want to get into being part of the toy industry, it's a good place to start to listen to this stuff. Again, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. And Aaron, of course, has some new Posca paintings up. He did a brand new Ultra Magnus today. I guess we'll call it the Battle in the Box Ultra Magnus, using the Armada Optimus mold. So that's a really unique one. That's up on the website right now. Some of the stuff that was shown last week on my live stream, or sorry, the week before that, have sold. So some of these might be a little dated at this point. I know the Rodimus is still there. How is that still there? That one's awesome. But go check that out. Archermonster.com/shop. Own a piece of Transformer history, a one of one, painted just for you. Check that out on archermonster.com/shop. So many people were asking me too, hey, where's Aaron? Where's Aaron? Why isn't Aaron at the show? Aaron is off on a secret project. He will be back. Don't worry. The estimate is he will be back in time for TFCon Orlando. He probably will not be back in time for TFCon Toronto. Again, secret project. Can't talk about it right now. But needless to say, something of official capacity. So he has to be on the down low right now from the third-party convention scene that is TFCon. But stay tuned for that. You'll get to see more of Aaron in the near future. In the meantime, archermonster.com/shop. Go get yourself some art from the man himself. Check it out, yo. Check it out. And of course, also just this past Wednesday, got to promote myself too. The latest issue of Mega Man X came out. Mega Man X issue number 2 debuted at all your local comic book stores on Wednesday. And that sold extremely well. It has the Alex Milne cover, which is the top right cover there. Very well received. One panel specifically went quite viral on the internet, over like 2,000 likes and retweets. I was quite surprised. I'll leave it to you to read the book and find out what that panel was, but it was quite giggity. Let's just say I'm a quite based person, and I know what sells in this world, and I don't get easily offended. Giggity. So check that out, yo. Again, Mega Man X, issue number 2 in stores right now. And issue number 3, the estimation date is April 22nd. So stay tuned for that. We'll have you updates on it when we get into April, and we'll start promoting issue number 3 in this ongoing Mega Man initiative, written by my dumbass and the amazing art of Hanzo Steinbeck. So stay tuned for that. And of course, in May will be Free Comic Book Day with the debut of Proto Man in the books. But stay tuned for that. Free Comic Book Day in May. And that's it for sponsorship, news. Let's get into the cool stuff. Let me get my phone because I have to give some shout outs to people. Got some gifts. I didn't want to forget anybody, so I made a nice long text file so I don't forget anybody because I don't want to leave out anybody. I think the only two items that I got that are not going to be here is stuff that's already in the display or stuff that was given to her as gifts. Yes, she gets gifts too from people. They give it to me to give to her. Um, but yeah, T Formers 2000, just make sure to grab Swoop and Snarl's first thing through the door. Yeah, that's Snarl too. Snarl because I think because he debuted at San Diego, so not a lot of people were able to get his hand on him. And Swoop was the TFCon debut. So it's all on the website right now. Check it out, symbiotestudios.com. So then, what did we get? Gosh, we got a lot to go through. It's all not even going to be in order. I'm just going to be able to grab what I could grab. Of course, I got me a Swoop. I had to get myself a Swoop too. So that joins the collection for the time being. Gonna crack him open later. But I got me a Swoop also. So that was awesome. Uh Picked up from, let me grab both the things I got from. So one of my favorite booths at TFCon is Arthur and Richard. They're two Japanese fellows. Well, they're ironically, Richard is a white dude. Arthur is a Vietnamese dude. They both do business in Japan and get a whole bunch of crazy Japanese stuff. And they always have an awesome booth. So I always like going to them because they always have the more eclectic stuff of Japanese stuff. And I love it because they leave their the price tags on them, so I know how much they paid and then how much. So I picked up some Microman Magna Power stuff. Anyone who looks at my, let me just show you here quickly. On my microphone stand, I got always one of the Microman guys just chilling on there and Kaniku Man Nisei. But I love Microman stuff. I love magnet stuff that sticks on. The same thing like Mega Man X. He has magnets on his feet. The magnets are cool. So I picked up this one. This is the special movie edition. You could only pick these up if you went to the movie theater during the Takara Fun Festival, where they played the Beast Wars Neo movie, Beast Wars Second Neo movie, and they had these were available at the movie store. They're just special versions that have the painted in faces and stuff. So whenever I see these, I pick them up. Pick this up for well, actually, it was in a group deal. What about it? Came to about $15. But judging by whatever Arthur Richard paid, 700 yen, so about $5, and there's a 2025 sticker on there from Hard Off. So you probably should take those off, guys. But it's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind paying 15 for this. You got to make your money. Got to respect the hustle. So love that. Love that. That was one of my favorite purchases, honestly, this weekend because this is a much more rare item, and I love the Microman Magna Power stuff. Piece of Transformer history. Very awesome stuff. And wanted to get another one of Light Long. Rai. Wanted to pick him up. Got him on the cheap, $15. Very, very cool. There wasn't much Wild King stuff. It was pretty much Arthur and Richard's table. And then there was one Japanese guy in the corner selling them loose. And that was it. And there wasn't much. I think Dragonus was probably the big ticket item that weekend. But otherwise, it was just a lot of this Wave 1 stuff. So pick up another Lightalong, get him. So again, thank you, Arthur and Richard, and your awesome booth that every year I buy stuff from. Cringe McCringle, what's up? Will Murphy, how you doing? I want to make sure everyone else is slowly slicking into this. You know, Will Murphy, my local comic book shop says your book is a bestseller. Well, I know that Timeline's number one. This one here, right? And there you can see this is a print. This is a print label. People don't normally get to see this. Look at that quantity, 30 copies. Um, number one, Timelines. That was a bestseller. That actually cracked the top 200. It beat Spawn. It beat Fantastic Four. It beat what else did I beat? That was like big name stuff. There were Nightwing. We beat Nightwing. We beat a whole bunch of Batman books. So, but again, to be fair, it's not because it was like, oh my god, you're an amazing writer. It's because it's a number one, and number ones always do well. There's always like speculation. If number two does well, if number three does well, and four, then you got a good book going on. Number ones always do well. So we'll see how number two's final numbers are, number three. But I have been hearing it's been doing very well and people have been loving it. And I'm happy that people love it. And I hope to keep doing this as long as humanly possible. It's been a dream to work on the Mega Man brand. It's my namesake. It has been my namesake since 1996. So I'm going on 30 years of calling myself Proto Man on the internet. So to be able to do this, it's a dream come true. Believe in yourself, my friends. You can do anything. If even this dummy could do it, anyone can. What else did we get? This was a gift from Toyco. I just want to make sure it was Toyco. I believe it was Toyco. Yeah. So Toyco came by. Thank you, Toyco. Hooked me up with a free Roddy. That's awesome. Didn't open them yet because I wanted to keep it sealed to show it to you guys. So thank you, Toyco, for the gift. That's really cool. That's going to go definitely in the Rodimus display for sure. What else? What did we get? A lot of Rodimus stuff, actually. So, ages 3 and up, they had the awesome little keychain Transformers. The official name is Miniature Transformers Package Wave 2. So they had the Rodimus one. So I was like, that's awesome. So I bought that from their booth, right? And then one of the main guys from ages 3 and up, they were like, hey, Proto, did you get this yet? And I'm like, yeah, I just bought it from your booth. And they're like, oh, why'd you pay? We were going to give you one. So they gave me a second one. So now I'm going to have one to actually have on my keychain. These are actually pretty sturdy, by the way. Like this cardboard flap is cardboard, but the actual thing itself this is like plastic. So it's pretty solid. So this is going to be on my keychain. Have a little Rodimus Kumboy. Transforma 2010. Rodimus Kumboy. So that's going to be that. And then I have a sealed one that'll be it'll be in the Rodimus display. So thank you, ages 3 and up, and the whole crew. I can name them all, but I'll feel like I'll leave someone out. So they're all awesome, though. Thank you to all those guys. Hold on a moment. I just want to pull up the list of everything so I make sure I don't leave out anybody. There's so many people. So many people, but oh my God. Sorry. But also, I want to give a shout out to from ages 3 and up, Victor Wong specifically, who's always hooks me up. He always like brings me an orange juice and stuff. Thank you, Victor. You're a lifesaver. It's very hard to get an orange juice on the cheap in the United States, especially when you're at a hotel. So thanks to him. That was very cool of him. From ages 3 and up, they're always a good crew of dudes to me. I got a keychain of Alita 1. Turn it. Come on. Yeah. Pixel key. Oh, no. Got a pixel keychain of Alita 1. That was from Frankie. It's a cloth, kind of like sewed it and stuff. So thank you, Frankie, for the Alita 1 keychain. That was a gift from her. Thank you for that. I got one of the changeables. I got this one here. So fun fact, I didn't even know it until this weekend, but I'll get into that in a moment. So this is the pterodactyl, the pterodactyl McChangeable. Got that from Fair Lady Z. Thank you, Fair Lady Z, Anastasia, for the awesome changeable. We'll open it up right now because changeables are amazing. So there's the McDonald's bag. And then Henshin. Transform. I love it. I think they're great. I think they're great for what they are. And again, I have a bit of a nostalgia for them because when I was a kid, let's pull out one of the originals. You know, McChangeables were a big part of my childhood because we couldn't afford actual Transformers. So thank you, Anastasia, for the McChangeable. Let me find a spot for everything because still got a lot more to show. So we got Anastasia. This one, I'm not even lying with this one. So Symbiote Studios bought a case of these Audrey model kit action figures of Transformers, and they're blind boxed. You don't know what you're getting. So we all handed out a box to each other to open them up, and I'm not lying. I swear I'm not lying. I swear I'm not lying. Bam. One shot. I have a horseshoe up my butt. I'm not even joking. So again, thank you to Joseph and the crew hooking me up with this one. I mean, at the end of the day, if like one of the other members, Sean or Eric or any of them, they would have opened up Hot Rod, we would have traded and stuff. I don't know who Eric was looking, which Sean was trying to get, but that's who you could have gotten. So I got very lucky. So bam. So thank you, Symbiote Studios. Did you like put like literally? It's wrapped in Saran wrap, so there was no way of knowing. Pure luck. Pure luck. I'm a lucky man. I am a lucky man. What else do we got? Pure luck on that one. Oh, yeah, I knew that was gonna fall. I want to give a shout out to there's a channel uh who does Transformer stuff. Eric Tron, who came by the booth. Shout out to him, Eric Tron, his channel. Shout out to the Instagram account Bot Shots. It's bot underscore shots. He wanted me to give a shout out, so shout out to him also. Uh, I also got Machine Wars Megatron. I already had Machine Wars Megatron, but he was missing the guns. I don't know. I guess when I bought it years ago from BotCon, it didn't come with the guns. So I rebought a Machine Wars Megatron to now have the guns with it. So at some future parts party at TFCon, you're going to see a loose Machine Wars Megatron for sale. Pick that up for $10. That was a really good price for a complete Machine Wars Megatron. I got that from one of the booths that I was sharing with. I'm not sure whose it was though. Maybe it was Ed's. I'm not sure whose it was, but $10 for that. Andrew Grant, shout out to him. He gave me a big old bag of G1 My Little Ponies for the wife. So shout out to him. He always hooks us up. That way, Sandy still gets something for the weekend. So she got a bunch of vintage My Little Ponies. So that was pretty cool. What else? What else? When I was perusing some of the local stores, there was a under five, like a dollar store kind of place, and Dollar Tree. They were like attached together near the hotel. So I just kind of went in there and I found some cool stuff for $1. This was what's cool about this. So this is a Wolverine playing card set, but it's packaged to look like the Marvel retro carded stuff. So I kind of dug it because it looks like it's a companion piece, but it's actually playing cards. So that's pretty cool. I probably should have brought the original one because I have the original one upstairs. And it has that beautiful Neil Adams art on there. Looking great. Fantastic. I love Wolverine because I'm Canadian. It's kind of the rule. So bought that for $1. That's really cool. And then they had I just hit that there. And then they had this Pokemon sticker book. Again, it has Gengar on the cover. I love Gengar, so I just for $1. Can't go wrong with that. Just picked those up from the dollar store, but we're not done yet. Still Transformer stuff. I'm just kind of digging through everything. Uh, we'll get into some autograph stuff. Let's get into that. Ugh. Let me see if there's anything else here. Yeah, you know what? When it comes to Machine Wars, I'm still trying to track down a Thundercracker that isn't broken. My Thundercracker is complete, but the brown plastic gave out and his leg is busted. So I need to replace my Machine Wars Thundercracker. As long as it's in decent shape, the body, it doesn't need to be complete. I just want to have it in robot mode and never transform it again. And then we could be back to a complete Machine Wars collection. But yeah. Autograph stuff. Let's get into that. We got fun fact, Mr. Josh Perez, who was at the show, is in charge of all the package art for Cyberworld. So I got Josh to sign the good old Optimus. So if you see Josh Perez at a show, Cyberworld packaging is all him. He had a huge contribution to the designs of this stuff. So check that out. Thank you, Josh, for that. And also, because Josh was there and I work with Josh on the Mega Man books, I got him to sign it. You know, there's Edwin Huang who did the art of this one. Sorry, it's so glossy. This is a Mylar. And then Josh signed it. He even drew his own little Proto Man there in the corner. So now I got all of them. All I need to get Marshall, who's the letterer on this, and I'll have everyone who contributed on this book, minus me, of course, on it. So he was there. So if you were a Mega Man fan, it was a crazy Mega Man weekend. Let's put it that way. Because I also got this signed. This was a post that went viral on Twitter. Got Ian Corlett to sign this. Was talking with Ian because Ian Corlett is a voice actor under union, and how he was even at one point thinking about trying to apply to be the voice of Mega Man for the video games, for the new run of video games. But because he is under union, there's all that red tape and stuff that makes it difficult. So I had that discussion with him. We were talking about it because I'm kind of helping too with the games and stuff. So there's all that. Then we got probably my favorite signature of the weekend. I wish I recorded his reaction, although his handler took care of it. So I had a lot of autographs kind of lined up. Unfortunately, so here's what happened with TFCon. If you were coming out from the Northeast, so Northern Canada, Northeast Canada, which is where I'm from in Montreal, if you were in like the New York states, like Vermont and stuff and everything, the city of Vermont and Plattsburgh, and maybe a little bit of northern, Hoboken and Brooklyn and stuff, there was just crazy ice storms, crazy snowstorms and stuff. I mean, I had no joke, like an 11-hour flight to get to LA. Full, transparency. It takes me 13 hours to go to Japan. It shouldn't have taken me 11 hours to get to LA. It's just there were so many delays and stuff, but I wasn't the only one. Venus, aka Black Arachnia, she was supposed to be at the show. Weather screwed her over. She couldn't make it. Lee Tokar, covert agent Ravage of the Decepticon Secret Police. He was supposed to be there again, I believe he comes out of Toronto. He got screwed over, couldn't make it to the show. Richard Newman, aka the man himself, Rhinox, couldn't make it out to the show. He's based out of Montreal. He couldn't make it. I left at 3 a.m. in the morning on Thursday. These guys were leaving on like Friday, and it was nutty. It was nutty professor, apparently. So a lot of people couldn't make it. Gary almost didn't make it. Gary Chalk. But luckily he did. And I got some really cool stuff signed from him. It was a bit of a deep cut. Um, Cringe McCrow, Daniel, take me on the next Japan trip so I could buy clothes. Well, you'd have to work for Capcom maybe, and then get a cheap flight. Um, Cringe, go check out Cringe's videos though. Cringe did a really good video on some real gear stuff on his channel. So I wanted to get something from Gary Chalk, something special. I've met Gary, geez, 9 times, maybe 10 times across TF cons and BotCons throughout the years. Love Gary Chalk to death. Good old Big Bot. He went through his whole cancer thing, and it was really brave of him to like open up about it publicly and everything he was going through and really put his heart and soul out there. So this was like his first big return to conventions. And I was like, man, I want to get something signed special from Gary because I already got Optimus Primal decades ago from him. Like, I already got that out of my system, already got his autograph, already got to interview him for the Transformer Slag podcast many years ago. Already got that out of my system. But I thought of something cool to get signed from him that was different. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to line up early before the dealer room opens up and get his autograph on the Sunday. And I swear, Gary, you know, you have to have a sense of humor in order to survive in this world. I'm telling you, that's the thing, guys. You can't be offended by things. You got to be strong. And I think that especially when you have someone like that came so close to death, you really start to appreciate the humor in life and just the beauty in life in a lot of ways. And Gary, man, I almost feel bad repeating what he said, but so I line up. I'm like third person in line, getting ready to get his autograph because I had to get the autograph quickly and go back to my table to do signings and sell the books and the exclusives. And I'm in line. And as I'm in line, slowly the line is building up behind me. Gary easily that weekend had the largest line out of everyone else in the show. Everyone wanted to see him and shake his hand and go, hey, it was so great, like just you opening up about your journey with cancer and stuff and getting through the chemo and everything. And Gary looked at the line before he started his autograph, he looked at the line and he saw this huge line that just like it kept spiraling over and over. And he turned to his handler and he said, man, I should get cancer more often. And I went, geez, geez, Gary, okay. Don't say that, man. But just, the fact that he could have humor in that moment, you know. So tired of beating around the bush. So what did I get signed from him? So I didn't get, he was Optimus Primal. He was, Gutsman from Mega Man. He's been in so many Godzilla roles and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was like, I want to get something that's important to me, but also a deep cut for him. So I was like, Mr. Gary, you have been Optimus Primal. You have been all these amazing roles throughout the years. You've been Turbo from Reboot and so many great mainframe characters. But a role that I want to get you to sign is you were the Hall of Famer, four-time it's going to be W. I was going to say WWF because of Bret Hart stuff. The NBA four-time world champion. You were the voice of Larry Joe Bird from Captain N and the Game Masters. So, and when I showed it to him, he was like, "What?" So I got that signed when he was from the episode of Captain N and the Game Masters when they went to the world of Jordan versus Bird in Hoop-de Doo-Dah Day, which is the name of the world. So he was the voice of Larry Bird. So I was like, yo, got to get that signed. Number 33, Bird in green, got to get it in green. Yo, you could watch this episode on YouTube right now, and it's great. It's so great because it's clearly Gary Chalk. Like it's clearly just Optimus Primal, being Larry Bird. Love it. Love it with the jumper that he wore during the 3-point contest that he won back in the day. Larry Legend. So that was I was really happy to get that signed because that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. The funny thing is like with the exception of the Josh Perez stuff, everything I got signed was like not Transformer related because I've seen so many of these guys for Transformer conventions and kind of got that out of my system. So I got that signed by Mr. Gary Chuck. Gary signed Larry. It was good. He loved it. That's all that matters. If you put a smile on someone's face, you've done your job in life. So great stuff. So got that signed. But a lot of people, and then I just kind of like shook his hand and then put my hand over his and held it close. And I was just like, I'm just, it was very brave of you, like to go on Facebook and to go on social media and talk about your journey. And, it was emotional for him. It was very emotional what he was going through. And, as far as he was concerned, when he was doing those streams, he thought he was going to pass away, and it was crazy his journey. And he's okay now. The cancer's in remission. He used as we call experimental Canadian Medicare technology that got rid of his cancer. I will not talk about it here because it's still controversial when it comes to YouTube. Um, but it does work. It's just the United States was against it because there was no money to be made from it. That's all I'm going to say. But it does work, and it's used in Canada all the time. It's just not allowed in the United States. Not going to get into that. But he used that. It worked perfectly. His cancer is gone. So we still have Gary for another long, long time for Optimus Primal to be with us, thanks to experimental Canadian Medicare technology. Ivermectin. That's it, you know. But anyways, so then, I think that's it. I think that's it. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone else. Let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody else. Andrew Grant, I mentioned, Fairlady Z, Toyco, the two shout outs, Frankie with the little keychain. I think I got everybody. But yeah, so that is that. So that's it more or less. Again, TFCon was super fun. As always, again, the LA show is the largest show throughout the year. So obviously there's you know, there's going to be a great turnout and stuff. I find with TFCon LA though, even though it has the most attendance, it's also a lot more local. Like when you go to TFCon Toronto or TFCon Orlando, I find that there's a lot more people traveling to the show, so you get a bigger mix of people. And the only reason why I know that is because every time I signed an autograph or every time I sold someone something, I always ask them, where'd you come from? Where did you come in from? And almost everyone was like a minimum of an hour drive or less. Another reason why I asked them is because it's kind of a me promoting, like, hey, if you like the Mega Man stuff here, when you go to San Diego Comic Con in a few months, I'll be there too. We'll have autographs there also. We'll have exclusives. Stay tuned for that. So, but I was starting to see like, oh, there's a lot of people that that just kind of were local and everything. So that was kind of unexpected, where I'm so used to when you go to like, let's say TFCon Chicago or TFCon Orlando or Washington. Yeah, there's people that are local with those too, but there's a lot more of a mix of people that are coming from out of state or out of town. And I think that LA is the more expensive show, so that also kind of gatekeeps out. It's an expensive flight, from the airport to the hotel is expensive. The hotel is expensive. The entry to the con, you could argue, is a little more expensive than it should be, so it's the more expensive one where Chicago, Washington, some of the others a little cheaper, of course. But yeah, either way, I think that's it more or less of everything I got. Just a lot of cool things here. Again, just kind of happy to pick up some of the more fun stuff. This is the one I was probably eyeing the most. He had a whole bunch of them, but it's the other ones I just had. So it was what it was. Was Kirkman there? I do not know if he was there. I'll be honest with you. The problem is I was stuck at my booth all weekend. That was the thing. Like, and it was so busy. The thing is like when you have a con that has like tons of people in it, it's kind of like a double-edged sword where, yeah, your table has tons of people in front of it and you're doing well, but also people can't see your table and you can't see people walking by your table. So it's just so busy. But I didn't see Kirkman there, but I mean, if he was there, I guess he was maybe. It was just so busy. It was just crazy, crazy busy. We did the Friday setup, which hopefully alleviated some of the traffic, but Saturday was still nutty, crazy busy. If you have a question, so the Patreon. See, what's the difference between YouTube and Patreon? I was doing $20 month on YouTube and got hacked and need to reapply on one of the. So if you do the Patreon for my YouTube, which is the link down there below, that gives you access to the Discord. That gives you access to our Patreon exclusive, like when we do one of these guys here. Um, you get that for free if you're at the show, that kind of thing. Again, the Discord gives you, all kinds of stuff, downloads, sales, everything like that. Gets your name in the end credit scroll. The the YouTube membership gets you the green names that you see on the side. They could ask unlimited questions in the live streams and everything. If you're able to contact me, I could also put you in the scroll and add you to the Discord. The problem is, and this is going to change though, YouTube has finally decided to change it. Soon we will be able to have private messaging through YouTube Messenger. It isn't available yet. They're still testing it. It's funny because they used to have it and then they got rid of it and now they're going to implement it again. Either way, but right now I would probably, depending on what your goals are, You decide. Do you want to be in the end credit scroll and being part of the Discord, or do you want to ask a lot of questions during the live streams and have your name shout out during this? Some people double dip. They get both. My Discord and my Patreon and this are not expensive. I make them as cheap as possible. I can't make it free. I got to charge something. Um, but I like to feel that it's not too pricey. So that's kind of the difference between the two. Flatline girl, I saw how busy you were. I went to your booth later Saturday and you were still talking and yeah, I know. Well, that's the problem is like it was really busy. And I felt bad because every time someone comes to get an autograph or sign a comic or buy something, they want to talk and they have all the right to want to talk. And I want to talk to them. I want to know what they're into. I want to know where they came from. I like to talk to people. And I feel bad because as I'm talking to someone, and sometimes I could talk for like 20 minutes, I don't shut up, you know? But sometimes I'll talk to them and I could see in the corner of my eye there's other people waiting. And I feel bad, but I don't want to cut off that person and go, okay, there's more people here. I want everyone to have a great experience. I know how Scott McNeil was kind of like that, where Scott McNeil, his lines would be like forever because he would talk to everybody. And because he would talk to everybody, his lines would go forever. And people used to say, like, oh my God, it's someone talking Scott's ear off. No, it's the other way around. Let me tell you, I sat next to Scott. I wasn't with Scott because I would be with like one of the IDW guys and Scott's table would be next to us. And I would see Scott would be the one talking to them, and just continuing the conversation. So it's like, and I'm kind of guilty of that too. I just like, I like meeting people, especially when it's a fan. If it's someone who's a fan of what I do, it's almost something that I'm almost curious. I'm kind of curious what they enjoy because it was only two people that whole weekend, but I had two children come by my booth and say that they were fans of the podcast. One of them had to be like 7 years old. One of them had to be like 9 years old. And those ones fascinate me the most because I am not a podcast that's optimized for children. I don't like play with toys and do toy reviews. I'm a still image with a spoken word talking about finance and logic and the business. And that's what this podcast has always been about. So when a 7-year-old or a 9-year-old enjoys watching what I do, I almost like, and the thing is that the parents are 99% of the time with them. And whenever I meet that kid, I right away point at the parent and I go, I don't know what you did, but you raised a smart kid. And it's not just because they're watching my show. Oh, they're a smart kid. I mean, the fact that they find interest and they have patience to listen to what I'm talking about in a sea of doom scrolling and all kinds of content that could distract them. The fact that they're willing to spend 10 minutes listening to a still image in my voice to talk about money and business and trademarks and the whole industry as a whole, that's a unique kid. And that's a unique kid that's going to go places. So, and I always want to let those parents know, hey, you got a smart kid because that makes them feel good too. So, but yeah, man, good stuff. Dylan, this is true about Scotty. Yeah, man. Who was I with? I think it was one of the editors from IDW. I think it was John Barber. I was next to John Barber that weekend. We were just chilling, and we had John Barber's booth, and Scotty was to the left of us. Like literally, it was like here I am, and Scott McNeil was to the left of me, and I saw firsthand. Like Scott just talks, and I love Scott McNeil to death. Love him. He's one of my favorite voice actors. So I'm guilty of it too. You know, I'm guilty of it too, and rightfully so. You want to meet people that like what you do. You want to talk to them. You want to give them a good experience. You want to know about them. TFCon Twins, a couple of questions for Titan Class Grimlock. First, Evan said something about Hasbro eliminating the Titan Class price point with a prototype reveal. Will this affect the size of the other three Dinobots? Well, I mean, last I heard from Nate from marketing, all the Dinobots are going to be Titan Class. So unless it's not that they're probably eliminating the Titan Class price point, maybe they're just shrinking it and then kind of like what they did with Star Optimus, aka Star Convoy. Like I think they'll just keep the price point. They'll just shrinkflation it. Look, I mean, it's still called deluxe, but you can't say that the deluxe that we're getting today is God. I wish I had a deluxe of yesteryear nearby me. Uh, I don't have anything loose nearby. Oh wait, maybe we could count this, the old Aaron Archer special. But like you can't compare the deluxes of yesterday to the deluxes of today. Probably a bad example with this one here because this was a 2-pack thing with a whole bunch of paint and stuff. And yeah, but oh no, he's gonna fall. Ah, stay, stay. It's the top of my tower. But yeah, you can't compare it, unfortunately. Like it's they're gonna shrink them. So maybe they'll be maybe Grimlock will be the tall one because he's the leader, and then they'll make them 2 inches shorter and justify thinner plastics for Scorn and Strafe and whoever they're gonna do as the or Slug as the next Dinobot. Because they did again. This was on Nate's Instagram. He said that, hey, what's going to be what do you want to be the next Dinobot Titan class? And he specifically said Titan class. So unless they shrink it, you know, make it $150, put less MABS plastic in it and POM and less deco hits, and maybe make the cardboard thinner. There's all these little techniques. I mean, I always tell people if you have a carded Beast Wars reissue that they did from Walmart, those Beast Wars reissues, I wish I could go grab them, but they're in the storage. You could see an example of cheaping out on cardboard. Look how thin and flimsy the cardboard was for the card backs there for the reissues. And granted, the reason for that was because they had to balance the budget because you're dealing with deluxe classes from 30 years ago and the plastic quality from then and now. And I mean, I don't want to go into the nickel and diming of it, but that cardboard was a strategic reasoning for it. Same thing, the bubbles, which had very little glue that would fall off, like the retracts and the Wolf Fang, all strategic choices from the A price, B price to the C price of manufacturing toy goods and all the final costs in the end for retail, and why you listen to this silly podcast. But yeah, James, my wife recognizes your voice and asks every time I listen to a segment I hear from other room, is that Proto Man? Yeah, well, that's not the first time that's happened too. A lot of times, either people who drag their girlfriend or wife to these cons, they'll come to my booth to meet me, and then I'll hear it. The girlfriend or the wife will be like, "Oh, it's that guy," and because they could hear the voice. I guess I have a very distinct voice. I know I have a lower voice. I have a lot of testosterone. It's just how it is, unfortunately, for good or bad, so to speak. But I have a deeper voice. And then, of course, what happens from talking that whole weekend, I lose my voice, and then it gets even lower. And then my wife goes, "Ooh, it sounds even more sexy," because then it gets really low when I lose it over the weekend. But yeah, man, it was just great meeting everybody. Like it's fantastic to put faces with some screen names that I see. It's fantastic to just meet people. And it's what I always say to people, like I invented this podcast because working under the Hasbro umbrella and being educated in the toy world, like the legitimate toy world, like this is how this is done, top to bottom, from a glimmer in the corner of Aaron Archer's eye to on the shelving of Walmart being purchased by this dummy. I got to see every step of the way, the legal part, everything. And I got to see, and I don't want to throw shade, but I got to see a lot of other content creators who didn't know what they were talking about. And the information that they were putting out there was, for a lack of better words, fake news. It just wasn't right. And, even the term repaint is an incorrect term. It's a redeco. Repaint, we're not repainting the product. Like if you had this in black, it's not a repaint. It's technically a redeco because nothing about it is being painted. Then the only deco hit is probably that chest there and maybe the shoulders. That'd be the only repaint if you wanted to say repainting anything. But it's always a redeco hit. But there was just so much vernacular terminology and ideas and stuff that was totally false. And I wanted to make a podcast that addressed the realities of the industry. And the Transformer Slag podcast used to be called the Canadian Slag podcast. It was a bunch of us together. All of those guys kind of stopped being part of the Transformer fandom and just kind of left me and Jaws D, hanging, going like, "Oh, I guess it's just our podcast now." And then we turned it into Transformer Slag podcast in 2015. We kind of like debuted it at BotCon 2015, and never looked back since. And I'll never forget going to a parts party at BotCon 2015 and just some guy going up to us going like, "Hey man, like we really love your podcast. Like we learned so much about toy manufacturing because this was a third party guy who does toy manufacturing. I don't want to say who, but he's done quite a few exclusives throughout the years. And it was just something where it's like, when you get that kind of reformation that like what you're doing makes a difference, it's always great to hear, you know? It's always great to hear. I like to believe, Fawn Heart, I have a distinct voice because I feel like rumbling in the back is my Canadian accent and French Canadian accent. Like, it's funny because in Quebec and specifically Montreal, we actually use a lot of American vernacular. So, like, in the rest of Canada, they call it pop instead of soda. They call it um, a beanie, or no, a toque instead of a beanie. Like we use a lot of Anglophone English American terms here in Montreal. So I find that a lot, like a lot of times people are surprised when they find out I'm Canadian because I find that Montrealers, our accent sounds more American than it does Canadian. Like we don't talk like this, eh? So like a Newfoundland guy or something. Oh, I don't know, eh? Really not good. Gonna go play hockey today. But MediaMax Proto, do you have any suggestions for Hasbro or how to save this slowly dying brand? Do you think they're doing their best possible job with it? Well, I feel like right now we're in a situation where they're making money, but they're making money at the cost of creativity. And I'm not saying that they should pivot in that right now we're making money. They're making money, but they're making money doing the same thing over and over that sells, which is G1, 84, 85, 86. It keeps selling and keeps selling and keeps selling. Transformers will never die. What always happens historically is a dark period comes, bad sales, historically bad sales happen. It causes them to take a step back, and then they go, oh, we got to do something different. Because to give an example, you look at, like, let's say, Pretender shells based off of Grimlock, Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Starscream. That no, there was no Optimus Pretender shell initially, but then you look at Action Masters again, focusing on those core characters: the Bumblebees, the Optimuses, the Soundwaves, the Starscreams, the Grimlocks. I could go on and on. Then you look at what they did with Generation Two, again focusing on those core characters. It burned it out. It burned it out. And by 1994, Transformers had some of the worst sales ever. 92 was actually their worst year, but that was for other reasons. But 94 really was the worst year for Transformers in terms of sales in different ways. And because they had to take a step back and discontinue the brand, they handed it to Kenner, their sister company, which was developing at the time their blockbuster success of Star Wars toys, Power of the Force 2, and the rest was history. They created Beast Wars, and we were off to the races. Then there was another decline, and the other decline was, of course, during Beast Machines. After 5 years of Beast Wars, Beast Machines didn't do well, so they went, okay, after doing all this Beast stuff and Optimus Primal and the Cheetah and all this, and we're going to pivot and do something different. They went back to vehicles. Back to vehicles was being different because after 5 years of only Beasts, if you don't count Machine Wars, you know, really only Beast, no Optimus Prime, no Starscream, no Soundwave, unless you count a mutants, crocodile transforming bat, trademark save and Machine Wars. So it's something where going to car robots, going to vehicles, and Armada was being different. And it did well. Armada sold like gangbusters. Then there was a decline again by the end of Cybertron. You get into a situation where it's like, oh, sales are going down again. But then they were different with movie stuff. Movie was very different. A lot of unique trademarks and stuff like a barricade and stuff that really was only a Micromaster up to that point, if you want to count one part of a combiner with Energon and a cops character and a GI Joe character. Again, that's how those trademarks move around. But there was always periods where when there's a decline, they do something different. And unfortunately, while the movies don't do well recently, Transformers 1 didn't do well, Earthspark was a complete disaster. The sales of Transformer toys have still been strong from the main line, meaning like Age of the Primes, Legacy, and otherwise. So because those are still strong, there and at the end of the day, toys are the core of the brand, there's not as much an incentive to mix things up. If all of a sudden nobody cares about studio series, we're done buying Michael Bay movie toys and movie toys. We're done, buying our mainline classics esque, generations esque, whatever you want to call Age of the Primes 2, 3, 5, whatever they'll do afterwards. If everyone doesn't buy it, then they're going to have to pivot. They're going to have to change things. Now, what will they do to change things? Who knows? Who knows? Me personally, I would love it if they kind of gave the ball, back to Takara and said, "Hey, you do a line, you do the media mix. You do a toy line, a full 22-minute, 52 episode cartoon. You do a video game. You do a cell phone, thing. You do a manga. The good media mix that Japan is always known for. Look at Pokemon right out of the gate in America. You had a video game, you had a cartoon, you had a toy line, you had cheese strings, goods, and all kinds of like fast food promotions, like a good media mix. Japan is the king of that. And I know that if they got Transformers back again, they would do a good media mix. I firmly believe if Wild King could have been its own entity, you know what I mean? If it could have literally been like its own legit TV show and these toys could have been imported, I don't know where they would have fit because this is definitely not a core class, but it's also too small to be a deluxe. It probably would have to be its own price point. But it's something where if they could have like really fleshed out Wild King and make it a good cartoon and stuff and put it on Netflix or Paramount Plus and have it on television, I think there could have been something here because this was different. This was different. But went with the status quo. A very G1 looking Optimus Prime and Earthspark, a very Alita looking Alita, even though the alt mode was different with Alita 1. Yeah, you could argue the Terrans were different, but the show was so human centric. It leaned more on family and story and stuff that it just didn't resonate with the audience. People didn't want it, where Cyberverse actually had better ratings, and those were 10-minute episodes. And same thing, people really like Cyber World, and those are 5-minute episodes. So imagine if both Cyberverse at the 10-minute episodes and Cyber World with the 5-minute episodes had full 22-minute episodes and a true backing of product and a media mix. Again, hey guys who are in the who are in the chat that are from Hasbro, take it to the office like always. Bring it up. But and you know who, you know who. But it is what it is. That's kind of just the situation that we're in right now. I firmly believe we're far from in bad times right now, but part of me doesn't not wish for it, because if there's a low period, there's a time to mix it up. And when you're someone like me that has been around for the 40 years, no joke, the 40 years of the brand, and have owned it all, messed with it all, watched it all, read it all, I'm always up for something different. Every single time. I am always up for something different. I don't have to buy this guy 12 times over again to be happy. I don't mind a little giraffe guy that likes to use lightning, a brand new thing. Again, look at everything that I bought this weekend. It was either gifted hot rod stuff, purchased hot rod stuff, or stuff that was a little bit different, you know? There's nothing wrong. Oh no. And there's nothing wrong with it being a little different, you know? It's always fun to do that. So that's kind of my long short answer of that, unfortunately. What's up, Tucker? You didn't miss much. Just me ranting as always. And again, the good thing with Cyber World is different. But the unfortunate thing with Cyber World is it's not given a proper media mix platform. 5-minute episodes on YouTube are not going to move the needle. And I love Cyber World, but the toys are really bare basic too. If Cyber World would have had a 22, like in all honesty, in my opinion, people might disagree with me. I would have preferred it that Earthspark never happened. Never happened at all. No toys, no show, nothing. And they would have put that energy into Cyber World made that 22 minutes, no humans, no nothing, trapped in the cyber domain of the cyber world. 22 minutes of that, articulated, properly budgeted action figures. And I think we would be having a completely different conversation today. I think Earthspark was really bad for uh, the mainstream nature of Transformers. It didn't help the brand on a public level. Didn't help the brand on a streaming level. The toys were poorly received in retail, and thus the blue packaging and the later rebranded white packaging ended up being clearanced like crazy. Soundwave is now a Moby Dick white whale to find, meaning the stealth bomber Soundwave, because retailers just didn't want anything to do with Earthspark. They were just like, we don't want cases of this anymore. So there's so few of Soundwave out there. I'm kind of hoping that Hasbro will kind of recognize that, maybe repack that Soundwave into Legacy or some kind of future generations kind of esque line or Age of the Primes. But we'll see what happens with that. T-Formers 2002. I'd own all the Wild King by now if there was easier, cheaper way to get them. Well, that's the unfortunate thing, is that because it's Japanese product, you have to import it. Because it's a weird price point, it's something that Hasbro couldn't import themselves. And because it doesn't have a proper price point, it's something where they're like, where do we put this on Hasbro Pulse if we do it? You know? Look, if you could get these guys for $20 at USD or less, the energy beasts, you're doing great. I was lucky to get them at one point for 500 yen from Don Quixote in Japan, which is about $3 USD. I every day of my life look back now and go, I regret not buying them all. I only bought Captain Volca, the T-Rex, but when you think about it, right, I had a carry-on suitcase in Japan. 2, 3, 4. If I would have bought 4 of these guys, that would have filled my whole suitcase, and I would have no space left. So I should have thought better. We all make mistakes, but it is what it is. But if you can get them for $20, they are fantastic figures. They are addictive. They are modular. They are super fun. And I think this would have been the better direction, the Japanese direction, the toyetic direction, the Aaron Archer, Takara team, Kuniharu-san, Yuki-san, Kojin Ono, Yoke-san, that team putting together toyetic kind of stuff. I would have preferred that. I will buy the Freedom Pigeon. I assume you're referring to the Star Eagle. I think Star Eagle is cool. And that's coming from a Canadian. I think Star Eagle's cool. The Cyberworld figures just need some elbows. Yeah, well, that's just it. If they just would have put a little more into these, and I understand why they didn't, because this is, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like a subline, something that's on the side. And it's sad because you go to the Transformer aisle right now, and you have your Age of the Prime stuff, which is all based off of properties that happened 20 minimum years ago. You look at the Studio Series stuff, which most of it is based off of properties that happened almost 20 years ago, which is sad when you think about it with Michael Bay movies. And then you look at Cyberworld, which isn't getting the attention it deserves. And then you have like what? Swapticons, some weird, like dancing Optimus Prime items here and there. The shelving space right now for Transformers really has a weird media tie to it. Very few of it is actually tied to current media products. And that's the big mistake that Hasbro is going through right now, is most of the items that they're selling, like, no joke, like, I was doing this at TFCon. I was going like, what did you buy this weekend? Oh, I bought, insert G1 character here, brand new release from Age of the Primes. Oh, I bought this, masterpiece based off of this G1 character, this Beast Wars character that came out 30 to 40 years ago. Everyone was buying new product that's based off of a character that hasn't been in media for 35 years or 20 years. While on the shows that do have media, look, Cyberworld literally just had an episode come out 2 days ago, episode 24. And yet, if you went to TFCon, no joke, I probably was one of the few people that was holding a Cyberworld product in that whole dealer room, because nobody cares. And that's a shame. They should care. And more so, it's not that they should care. Hasbro should care, because this is their media. This is their media. Transformers 1 didn't do well. I love Transformers 1. This isn't me throwing shade at it, but it didn't do well financially. The mainline toys didn't do well. And it's something where they need to really focus on making their media stuff and their toy stuff move. And that's why I should be in those meetings, but that's a whole other conversation. Busy right now, so I can't. In a whole other meeting with some robots that are super fighting robots. So different story. Where are we at here? TFCon twins, cool. Second, will toy sales affect the plans and intentions of making other 3 Dinobots over the next 3 years? I hate to start buying them and then Hasbro pulled the plug. Well, that's something we can't predict. I mean, let's be real. If they do a awesome stellar slug next year and you buy it, but then no one else does, would you want them to continue and just keep liquidating money on diminishing returns? Or should you ask them to stop and not lose millions of dollars in manufacturing? You can't predict this. The best example that I give that I always compare it to is Star Fox. So Jax, that has the rights to doing the Nintendo Mario figures, they did the whole Star Fox cast, right? They did Star Fox, they did Falco, and then they did Slippy, and those sold so poorly that they were gonna just discontinue it right there. And fan demand were like, just finish it and put out Peppy the hare, so you could get the 4 Star Fox members. And so they squeezed it out. Peppy the hare ended up going on crazy clearance because no one bought it because no one cared about Star Fox except this weirdo. And we got all 4 of our Star Fox, but in the end, it hurt the World of Nintendo brand so bad that they stopped doing non-Mario characters. Now they do the odd Zelda character here and there on a different card back. They reissue the odd Metroid character and the odd Donkey Kong, but they'll never go outside of that anymore. No more Splatoon, no more what's it called? What was the other one that they did? Uh Olimar. What's it called? Olimar from oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, they don't want to do that anymore. You know, they don't want to do any of those anymore because they lost so much money. And then they did a plush line of Star Fox. They did Fox, they did Peppy, they did Falco. It sold so poorly, we never got Slippy. We never got Slippy Toad. So there is a plush line. Pikmin, thank you, Ninjatron. Um, they didn't even complete the plush line. So there's only 3 of the 4 of Star Fox, and they'll never complete it because it's too much of a risk for them. They could say, "Oh, just complete it. Just put out the frog for crying out loud." Yeah, but they don't want to lose millions of dollars on manufacturing. So it's something where it's like you just have to gamble. Take it from me who collects Mega Man stuff. How many times am I going to buy a bunch of Mega Man figures and then they discontinue the line and we don't complete things? Already what's happening with this one here. So far, so good with what's going on with Jada. But what if one wave comes out and it shits the bed? And then all of a sudden that's the end of that, you know? And then I don't have a complete, Mega Man 2 cast or Mega Man 3 cast that I was hoping for. We don't know. You can't predict it. You can't predict it. So it's something where you just gotta hope that it does well. You just gotta hope. Uh T-Formers 2002 Cyberworld Mirage has has been impossible to find, and I bought one. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You want Cyberworld Mirage? My Walmart has like a whole peg of them. Really? Like, is he that tough to get? He's not that tough to get. There's a whole peg of those guys because he was the Walmart exclusive. I don't know. Should have taken a photo. Crap. Let me see if I have a photo from because I always take photos for the sales group. Let me see if I have any photos of Walmart recently. One moment. Once again, riveting content. I apologize. Riveting content. No, I don't think I took any photos recently of that section. No, I deleted the photos. But yeah, no, I know for a fact I was seeing a lot of Mirage. Didn't see that it seemed to be a problem. Rudy Mack, not to be a party pooper, but bond market just flashed a signal of a new surge of inflation on the horizon. Yeah, look, Inflation keeps happening, and I talked about it this weekend, right? If oil prices go up because of everything that's going on in Iran and stuff like that, if oil prices go up, what do you think toys are made out of? This is plastisol, which is oil. So get ready for another one of those, you know? Do what I do, guys. Be picky about what you buy. Don't buy everything. You don't have to buy everything. And 9 times out of 10, not buying everything works out for you. Yeah, there's that one figure that gets away and it ends up spiking in value 3x, but everything else goes down 5x. So, like, if a 27.99 deluxe drops to $10 and you end up saving a bunch on a whole bunch of $10 deluxes, but then that one deluxe goes to like 50 and 2x's, well, it's a little bit of 1.7 x's. But the point is that you end up saving more than you end up overpaying. So you're better off waiting it out, being smart with your product, and picking up what you really need. Picking up what you really need more than anything else. You know, too many times people buy too much in this hobby. They really do. And it's not just the Transformer hobby, it's the toy hobby in general. You know, sometimes there's stuff you just don't need. You know, you really don't. Mateus with the $2 super chat. Hey, just got here. How was TFCon LA? TFCon LA was amazing. The Transformer Slag podcast exclusive, the Galvatron Nintendo cartridge, and the Yellow Bee leftovers that we made, a small batch, sold out all by Saturday. They were all sold out. Thanks for all the love and support for everyone who bought the exclusives. We brought 300 Mega Man comics. We were down to 75 Mega Man comics by the end of the weekend. I had to abandon boxes that they came in. We have like these special, like, I wish I had the show, like these comic boxes that are used for shipping comics en masse. So we had to abandon those because we didn't need them anymore because now they were just empty. So we did well with that. Symbiote Studios did fantastic at the show. Everyone did great. My rule is if I come back with more money than I left with, and I get to buy myself some little trinkets and stuff like that, that's a good weekend. You know, that's a good weekend. When your flight is taken care of, your hotel is taken care of, any of your costs of eating are taken care of, and you still made money, you're still in the green, and you got to buy a few cool toys to play with, that's a good weekend. That's a good weekend. Some people go to on vacation and cons and it's nothing but in the red. So that's a good weekend. That's how it should be done. But yeah, so I had a great time. And again, meeting all you guys is fantastic. There's no greater joy I have than putting faces with the fans. That's the most important thing. I might be a little absent in the evenings sometimes because full transparency, uh Hasbro West Coast is 2 blocks away from the hotel and there was meetings that had to be had. So that's kind of where I would dip out. Italian Hoagie and T-Formers 2002 could attest to that. I was gone for business reasons in the evenings. But otherwise, I'm there to hang out with you guys. You know, don't be scared to approach. If I was at the bar hanging out with Andy and who else was with me? Fair Lady Z was there. Andy, Jaws D was with me. Who else was with me that weekend? Like at the bar, like the outdoor bar is great. And then you know the indoor lobby, hanging out with Josh Perez until like 5 a.m. in the morning, talking business. Josh, I've been working together with him for, gosh, 15 years. Oh my God, it's been 15 years. Been doing comics with Josh for 15 years and Alex Milne for 15 years. You know, like, geez, you know, just good times. Good times. Good times. T-Formers 2002. He's the only figure from the whole line I've never seen. He and Alita. Oh, I've seen none of Wave 2. I haven't seen Alita. I haven't seen Starscream. I haven't seen the Insecticon. I haven't seen any of those. I have only Wave 1. I'll tell you this right now. I went to Walmart yesterday. I remember Galvatron. I remember Mirage. I want to say Snarl was there too, and maybe that was it. And then a whole bunch of Swapticons, and they cleared out some scalper came in and cleared out all the retro carded stuff. I didn't even get a chance at any of that. I know who probably took it though. Hmm. But I'll definitely see him at Montreal Toy Con with stacks of it, no doubt. Ruin it for the community as always, but it is what it is. Uh, but yeah, just great time, great time. Again, I always stress to people like you could be part of this community online. You could be typing away on a Reddit or a forum or a Twitter, but nothing beats going to the show in a show in person and just mingling with the audience. And I know that there's a lot of people that they go, "Oh, but I'm shy." And and I'm not good with people or stuff. We all have to strengthen our muscle at some point in life. If you're shy, you're not going to get better just saying you're shy and hiding in your shell. If you oh, my muscle is weak. Oh, I have small muscles. Oh, they don't grow. Then you got to work it out. And it's the same thing with being shy. You got to go into those environments. You got to meet people. You got to see the social interactions. And that's it. You know, the one thing that you're very lucky is that every single person in that room likes Transformers. You can't say that about any other convention. You go to a San Diego Comic-Con, 100,000 people. Not everyone's going to like the same thing you do. But you go to a Transformer convention, everyone knows who Optimus Prime is. Everyone's going to get your references and quotes and stuff. Just be respectful, be humble, and talk to people, and you might make a friend for life. You never know. You never know. A lot of friends that I have today were people that I met at cons. You know, you never know. T-Formers 2002. At least I was able to hook you up with a bronze. Yeah, well, there. Thank you for that. You know, because I knew I wasn't going to find it here. You know, and let me reach for. He's all buried away here. He's too far away. I have your Hasbro displayed one waiting for you. It's in a baggie. It's already I packed it away for getting ready for Toronto, which will be the next TFCon Toronto, coming up in July. That'll be a fun one. Smaller show, pales in comparison to LA, but still a very fun show. Much more, I always say it's the more social show of the two. It's the one where there's much more social stuff that goes on. It has the charity auction, which is unique to Toronto, which I think is amazing. I help run the charity auction with Ian, and we always do a bang up job every year. Tons of deals, tons of great stuff. There's the make a deal segment at the end. There's all kinds of great things with this charity auction. We're going to have some special items. I don't want to announce them yet, but we're going to have some really special items at the charity auction this year. So stay tuned for that. Like, it's going to be great, man. It's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to TFCon Toronto coming up. And then, of course, you have San Diego Comic Con. So if you guys missed me in the LA area or you're from San Diego and you didn't want to drive down to LA and Burbank, I'm going to be at San Diego Comic Con. That I don't know where. I know it's going to be like split across 3 different locations. I'm going to be at the Hasbro booth a lot. I'm going to be at the Symbiote Studios booth a lot. And I'm going to probably have to spend some time at the Capcom Udon booth for signings at some point. I know I'm going to probably have a panel and a signing at some point. I just don't know when. That stuff, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. All I know is we're going to have San Diego Comic Con exclusives across all the different guys, Capcom, Symbiote, and Hasbro. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff there. I'm super excited about San Diego this year. It's going to be really fun. What's up, Secret Kingdom? How you doing? Mr. Galactic Gamer, my Walmart surprisingly has Wave 2 S World of all things. I guess Cyber World. Well, yeah, I just would like, I have them all here carded. I love them. Well, kind of carded. It's more like I took them out of the card. I love these guys. I love the show. I love the writing. I love the characters. I love how it's ever so different. There's some dark meme humor involved in it. Uh, Ali Lightfoot, who's the writer and the showrunner of the show, is a very cool and talented guy, and I respect what he does. So it's something that I'm all behind that. So it's like if I could find, I'm looking for Alita. I'm looking for all the ones I'm missing. If I could find them, Like I'm willing to pay full MSRP for the basic scale because they're already pretty cheap. You know, I'd love to get a cheap Scorponok if I could find one. I know he was on sale at one point. I don't know if he's still on sale, but it wasn't in Canada. It was only in the States, so they couldn't ship it out to me. But I'd love to get a cheap Scorponok if I could find one and a cheap Grimlock. But I'll cross that bridge when it comes. Whenever that day comes. But one day I'll get a cheap Scorponok. I'll find him cheap. Put him in the Titan display. Um, what are you saying here, Ninjatron? Oh no, my internet died and I missed the whole thing about being shy. What will you do now? Ninjatron, you're not shy. You do panels. Shy people don't stand up in front of 60 people and talk, do public speaking. You're not shy. You're just quiet. There's a difference there. Alex Milne is not shy. He does panels and he talks to people. He's just quiet. There's a difference there. Media Max Proto, what is your personal pick for the next HasLab versus your logical pick? Well, logical pick, in my opinion, should be Primus, in my opinion. I just think that it should be done sooner or later. The unfortunate thing is that the other part of that logical pick is if they do Primus, he won't be as big as Unicron because I don't think Unicron did as good as people think it did. So if they did do a Primus, it would be significantly smaller. And I think the argument that Hasbro would make is, well, he's smaller, so he could fit in the maw of the Unicron. Meaning, like, it won't be as big as the beach ball of Unicron. They'll make it smaller, so it could almost be like if Unicron's eating Cybertron. And if it's eating Cybertron, it'll be obviously significantly smaller than Unicron. That's the first one. I would like a Primus that's as big as Unicron, but I don't think they'll do it just because of the muscle memory and the lack of success that Unicron had. Again, I don't care what anyone says, it didn't do as well. Number two, the more believable what's probably going to happen, probably another Japanese G1. Landcross, the Brainmasters, Road Caesar, which I would like. I love the Brainmasters. They're one of my favorite combiner teams. I love Road Caesar and all those individual guys because each one of them actually has a personality. Like Blacker, Laster, and Braver, they all kind of are like their own dudes. So, like that's a team I actually like. That would be cool if they did the Brain Masters where brain set and the whole face goes up. That'd be so cool if they engineered that toyetic gimmick with that. But we'll see. We will see. But I think that that's the more logical conclusion. I think that they're going to go that route. But what I would like is Primus. I would just rip that Band-Aid off already and do it now while you can before the dark times come and they'll never want to do it again. You know, the sad reality is if they would have done Primus first, he would have been big like Unicron. He would have probably done as well as Unicron, if not worse. And then they would have justified doing Unicron because, well, we should have done Unicron first, and then we would have got both of them out there at least. But fortunately, that was not the case. Need the Beast Wars ships. Well, that would be cool, but the sad reality is while Beast Wars was a peak period for Transformers, a lot of those Beast Wars kids, they kind of just moved on to Pokemon. That's kind of the sad thing is there was kids that were into Beast Wars and they loved Beast Wars and they got Beast Wars toys. And then 1998 rolled around and Pokemon showed up and all of those Beast Wars kids went, I don't care about Cheetor anymore. And then they never went back. And now they're just permanently, Pokebros in their 30s. So that's sadly how that went. Again, this is coming from a guy who thinks Beast Wars is the best Transformer series ever made. But I could always be rational about what's really going on. The crazy thing is a Cybertron that is a HasLab Unicron, a Unicron that could stand. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, it would have to be, if you do a Cybertron that's Unicron sized, then when you put Unicron in planet mode, he could kind of stand on it. Although the gravity of it would crush under it because it weighs so much. But it would have been cool. But I could see them more if they do Cybertron. It's going to be significantly smaller, and they'll just justify it that way. I like it when they're face to face, or maybe Primus is slightly smaller, but I would prefer it if it was like that. But I know the rational way they're going to go about it is going to be different than what I want. And the ability to separate those two things is very important. Road Caesar, Diatlas, or heck, Rail Racer. Rail Racer would be another cool one. That could be a good companion piece to the Omega Prime. And Rail Racer is one of those toys that the Japanese version is way too fragile. Do not buy a Car Robots JRX. That is, you're asking for trouble. So do not buy that. Specifically, J4 uses clear plastic that just J4, which was Rapid Run. I think it was Rapid Run. I know them by their Japanese names, but so or Midnight Express, one or the other. The one has the yellow face. Um, J4 day one, 2000, back in the day. Snap. Back then. Today, that clear plastic is so brittle you can't even look at it anymore. So the only versions of JRX that you could find that won't break are the Western Robots in Disguise version, and those things go for like $200 to $300 complete, easily, easily. So if you essentially, you know, create a new version, that'd be great. Rapid Run, there you go. It's true, it was Rapid Run because it was voiced by the guy who did the voice of Agent J from the Men in Black cartoon. I remember it was a black dude. And the only reason why I know that is because back in the day, we used to keep track of all the black Transformer characters with Jaws D. Because remember, back in the day, it was Jazz. We used to say that Rhinox and Tigatron were Afrocentric, as we call it, because Rhinox had the beard and Tigatron with the mustache, Blue Man Kuna, and of course, yeah, Richard Newman's white, but very Afrocentric personality. And Rapid Run. Rapid Run was the other one because he was voiced by the guy who was Agent J from the Men in Black cartoon, who I believe he passed away, the voice actor. Passed away at a young age. But yeah, so I could see it. I could see them going with that, because it would be very hard to sell 3 bullet trains in retail. Like three, and that was another reason why the JRX and why Rail Racer is so expensive today was he didn't sell well because he was in these Voyager boxes, or they were mega at the time, these mega boxes. They all were the same 3 dildos, for lack of better words, giggity, these 3 similar looking bullet trains in a country that isn't familiar with bullet trains, aka America. Didn't sell well, less of a population in the secondary market. Thus today a complete one goes for crazy money. And Jaws D laughs to the bank because he has one, you know? So, on Blaster, how could I forget Blaster? Of course, good old Buster Jones. Can't forget Blaster. That's true. But yeah, good stuff. T-Formers 2002. To the Hasbro employees in the audience, Studio Series, The Last Night Onslaught when. Who's still in the chat? Let me just take a look. Yeah, they're still there. Here's the thing, right? Let's say TFCon twins, they hear you today. It's going to take minimum of 2 years before it happens. Between hand design, planned out, sent over to Takara, redesigned, the back and forth of budget, finally turned into a mold, sent to Vietnam, pressed, colored, decoed, put on a boat, sent to good old Longueuil, Quebec, packaged, sent to distributors, shows up in Walmart, 2 years minimum. 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 2.5 years to 3 years if it's a little more of a back and forth. So they'll hear you, but you'll be 3 years older. And then you don't buy it in the end, and then was it all for naught? Then you go, ew, $59.99, because that's how much prices will be in 3 years probably. Then you'll be like, yeah, okay. So Ice Cream Twins is a good one. That one I'd like to see. That one, we only had the one. We had the one deluxe that was 2-in-1, and then we had some legend scale that were painted like the Ice Cream Twin colors, but it wasn't actually the Ice Cream Twins. They just took the legend scale and gave them those pinks and whites. I'm looking at my set up there. Good stuff. Good stuff. How much time we got left? Oh, geez, we got 6 minutes left. We are running out of time. But yeah, otherwise, it was a great weekend though. Got to see a lot of great people. Again, the Hasbro people, unfortunately, from West Coast didn't set foot in the convention. They just kind of stayed in their office over there, so I had to go to them. Uh, there's just kind of this thing where it's like third party convent. Well, I'll be honest with you, TFCon is a third party convention. It has a heavy lean on third party, and Hasbro kind of just wants to avoid that. So that also explains Aaron's absence at TFCons because he's kind of working on little projects right now. Stay tuned for that. A lot of good stuff coming, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But once again, thanks to everyone who came by the booth. Thanks for the love and support. Thanks to the people who picked up the comics, even though maybe they're not even fans of, maybe they're not even fans of Mega Man, but they still picked up the book. Rudy Mack with the $5 super chat. Do you own any graded G1 figures? If so, which is your favorite? I do not own any graded action figures. I have a thing with when it comes to grading. I feel that grading is only important when you're dealing with products that are very volatile to forgery, right? So to give you an example, right? Grading trading cards, right? Very important because it is a lot easier to make a fake Charizard or a fake, Horace Wagner, baseball card or a fake Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan rookie card. It's very easy to bootleg that if you find the right cardboard and stuff. Thus, grading is important because you have people that are on an extra level of I'm going to butcher the word authentication. My French accent kicks in there. Authentication. So it's very important that that is done. Same thing with comic books. Comic books are very much subject to bootlegging and fakes and all of that stuff out there. A mint on card or a mint in box G1 Optimus Prime or anything like that, not so much so. Not so much so. You know, you're getting what you're getting. You're pretty much buying to have it in a fancy box. I mean, I would like, if anything, the boxes that those acrylic graded things come in, I'd like to have one of those to protect some of my more pricier items that I have mint in box. But I don't care about grading personally because, again, grading is all about if it's real or not, and if we could trust the purchase. And that's more from the trading card and the comic book world. The video game world, the action figure world, it doesn't make sense to me. And then the extra layer of that, I've seen people that grade loose figures, and not even like super rare stuff. It's like, oh, I graded my loose complete. And I'm using an example from a comic store locally here. They had like graded 70s Star Wars stuff of loose figures. And I'm like, man, it's not even like carded. It's like they're just great. So I don't know. I'm a little hot and cold when it comes to grading action figures. I have a lot of items that are gradable worthy, but at the same time, I'm hanging, 1983 carded GoBots on the wall, probably damaging their little J hooks, but I don't care. Like to me, it's the enjoyment of the visual. I have, tons of mint and box G1 stuff throughout the years. Probably my most valuable. If I don't count like if I count promo items, probably my Pepsi Optimus Prime, the original 1985. I have two boxed ones, two of them. One day I should sell the other one. I don't know why I'm sitting on it, but it's something where maybe if I have it in a nice acrylic box to protect it, but I don't want to grade it. I don't care about that. Something that doesn't really concern me too much. Again, comic books and trading cards. If you're buying like a Michael Jordan rookie card, I would feel way more comfortable buying a damaged, graded to Michael Jordan rookie card that's graded than a minty loose one, not knowing if that thing is even real, and you could get risky with that, you know? So that's kind of my thought on that. Cards, comics, yes. Action figures, video games, no. No, thank you. But I like the boxes they come in. That protects them, so I dig that. Mayoral Fabrication, what's up? With the $5 super chat. I had a lot of Chinese food today. Some little uh it was nice hanging out with you at TFCon and thanks for helping with the booth. It became chaos too fast. Oh man, dude. You know, we were thinking that the Friday would alleviate the traffic and it really didn't. It really didn't. But you know what was cool about that? What I do as from a dealer perspective, I like that the people were let in waves because usually when you do a convention, like you get hit with that initial wave of traffic at the beginning on a Saturday, and then by the lunchtime and late Saturday, all the people that have seen your stuff, and that's it, and your sales start to slow down. What I liked about them doing the waves is you knew like, oh, there's new people that are going to be added to the deal room in 3 p.m. So that means there's going to be all these new eyeballs looking at your stuff at 3 p.m. So it was great as a seller, in this case of exclusives and comic books, that you always had these fresh faces seeing your product all throughout the weekend, as opposed to, you even something like BotCon that I love. Like BotCon, I love BotCon, but it's like, after you've walked around the deal room once, you're pretty much walking in circles for the next 2 days, and there's no fresh faces that are in there, you know? So this was something that was different at least. And maybe it'll work out in the long run. We will see. We will see. Rudy Mack loose, yeah, like loose figures, like a loose figure. Like I've seen, like they would take like, oh, it's a 1979, Kenner Stormtrooper with its weapons and stuff, and they literally grade it and they put it in like acrylic case, and they go, oh, this Stormtrooper is like a 9.2, and I'm just like, really, like loose figures graded? Is that a thing? And it's like, yep, it's a thing because some people, I guess, they can't afford the carded ones, or they don't own the carded ones, so they grade the loose ones, which is okay. That's weird. But whatever. T Formers 2002 Orlando is planning early Friday, so hopefully it eventually works out. Well, I'll as of this recording live stream, I'll be there. Still so far away. The plan is to be there with Aaron Archer, but we'll see what happens in 9 months or something, however long it is. Rudy Mack, thanks for the answer. I do not own any graded figures either. Was just curious to know if you have a huge collection of them. I have almost every G1 toy ever made. I have a lot of 84, 85, 86, 87 with their original boxes at a time when people didn't care about like I would go to cons and people would be selling the boxes separately because they didn't want to have to deal with the storage. So they would be selling the loose figures, like, oh, like I like give an example, like they'd be selling Bludgeon, valuable G1 toy, Pretender shell, and then they'd be selling the box separately because that's something that just takes space. And I would buy those boxes on the cheap, going back as late as God. I did it with Tony once. We went and we bought some cheap boxes. TFCon 2014, 15, 16-ish. Yeah, it's probably 15. They were still pretty affordable. I don't know how they are today, but I was always buying up G1 boxes of what I'm missing, you know, because they're cool. Piece of history, same thing. A lot of carded Beast Wars and everything like that. Fonhart, I will be at TFCon Orlando. That's awesome. Already have our room reserved. Damn, that's true. I got to figure out my room situation. Didn't think of that. Well, the good thing, that one doesn't usually sell out. So I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. Worst case, I'll sleep on someone's floor if I have to. But it's so far away, though. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like I have like 5 other conventions in between now and Orlando, that it's like the last thing I'm thinking about right now. Twin Scores, thank you for your opinion and wisdom and insight on tonight, Proto. Always worthwhile spending Saturday nights here. Well, Twins, I'll have your t-shirts very soon. They're literally sitting in my suitcase ready for Toronto. So you'll have your 30th anniversary Beast Wars t-shirts very soon. Luckily, there was no problem with that. I just showed John from TFCon staff. I just showed him your QR code and everything was kosher. So it all worked out. All worked out in the end. I hope they fit you fine. I hope they fit you good. But yeah, either way, it's been good. We're past the 2 hour mark. Once again, I want to thank everyone who came by the booth, gave their love and support. I want to thank everyone who gave gifts and great stuff, you know, for the wifey and for me. Really appreciate it, especially Toy Co. with this Bad Mama Jamma. With Frankie, I can't reach the. Damn it. Okay, I can't reach it. But Frankie, thank you for the little keychain. Fair Lady Z for the McDonald. You know, Andrew Grant with the My Little Ponies. I know I'm forgetting people. Uh, ages 3 and up with the uh, with the little Rodimus keychain, and then some. I will answer one last question. What is for dinner? Already ate it. The wife made a crazy Asian dish of a whole bunch of stuff: beef and Canadian broccoli with orange beef, with General Tao chicken, with white rice, and fried mushrooms, enoki fried mushrooms. And probably tomorrow we might have hot pot. We're not sure yet. We're not sure yet. We'll play that by ear because we got a lot of other stuff planned to eat. So yeah, but that's it, more or less. Thank you for all the love and support, everyone. Once again, if you want to support the podcast even more, we have that Patreon link down there below. Gets you part of the Discord, gets your name in the end credits. Come join us, come hang out, have a good time, save money on your hobby. That's what we always try to do. You know, you might be spending $2 on the Patreon, but you'll be saving 10, 20, 30, $40 on Transformer product with all the sales that we're rolling out every single week when we can. And of course, Patreon isn't your thing and you want to be one of those beautiful green names that were asking questions this whole weekend, that's the join button. That's part of the YouTube membership system. So you take your pick, Patreon, YouTube membership, or you double dip and get both like some people here. Either way, thank you guys. It was a fantastic weekend. And as always, like I always say, take care of yourself, your friends, your family, your loved ones. The world is not as crazy a place as you think it is. A lot of the negativity that's out there, ignore those people. Keep those people out of your life. All they want is disaster and destruction. There is a currency for them of pain and suffering, and you don't need to be around that. Trust me. I try to avoid that, and it worked out for me. At least I like to think it worked out for me. So take care of yourself. It's a beautiful world. And I mean, there's so much cool stuff out there. There's so much cool stuff out there. I'm going to be opening up a cool Microman figure today. My day is set. My day is set. So I'm out of here. And as always, roll out.